Hello everyone, my name is Fernando, and today we'll be continuing our Kerbal Space Program 2 series. Here we're collecting our mission rewards from the last video, and now we're gonna prepare for the big Mun mission. The plan is quite simple. We'll do an Apollo-style mission. We'll be taking a mothership, a lander, 3 Kerbals, and we'll be landing multiple times on the moon, collecting all the science that we can find around it. You can see the design going in. This lander was surprisingly capable. I could jump 2 biomes with it. Maybe even 3, though I didn't attempt that. I considered docking extra fuel tanks on the mothership. Ended up not doing that. Here you can see me using monopropellant tanks to simulate the mass of the lander, so I know how much delta V the mothership actually had. So I knew how many tanks to add to it. Now to build the ascent vehicle, quite a simple one. Unfortunately, this is not a good ascent vehicle. It's not because it doesn't have enough delta V to put our mothership in orbit around Kerbal. I was having a hauling for quite a long time about do I put a second stage or not, and ended up going with no, because it doesn't matter which engine I use, it would have atrocious thrust-weight ratio. I'll be spending a bit of fuel on the mothership, but that's fine, I'll just do a refueling mission. We'll be taking Bob, Jeb and Bill on this mission. Valentina, well, she already got stuck on the moon once. I'm sure she already had enough of it. For at least a little bit. She's having a very well-deserved vacation right now. And unfortunately, here's what I mean. I'm having to spend a bit of the delta V on our mothership to get into orbit. Something very annoying is the re-entry heat on the docking port. I have docking ports explode a lot when I launch vehicles. When I'm launching rockets like this. Even when they are inside fairings. It's incredibly annoying. Anyway, as you can see here, I ended up having to spend quite a bit of fuel to get this into orbit. About half of its fuel tanks even. But that's fine, we have a docking port, we'll just do a refueling mission. I'm just making sure that I know how much I need. I need about 16 tons of fuel. So that's what we'll be building right now. But first, I must slightly alter my orbit so that we complete our perfect circle contract. This will net us a tiny bit of science, which will allow us to unlock the biomapping antenna. I briefly considered going for the fuel lines, so I could do the good old asparagus staging, but it's not needed for this mission. It's a fairly simple rocket, just a probe core, a fuel tank, and some RCS for maneuvering. This rocket will take 16 tons of fuel to orbit, but I probably should have made the rocket bigger, I admit. It was a very, very slight margin, and I end up spending about 2 tons of the fuel I was supposed to bring to our mothership. That's fine. We will still have more than enough fuel for what we needed. Just quickly deorbit it using the RCS thrusters. I was kinda mad about this. It didn't burn up in the atmosphere. I wanted to see some fireworks. Anyway, now for our second to last launch, because we'll be doing another one after launching the lander. Technically, we could have launched lander and the mothership together, like the actual Apollo missions did, but I prefer doing it like this. It's more time consuming, yes, but I think it's easier on me because I'm not exactly the best when it comes to designing rockets. Here's a new bug. The ocean's gone. Just straight up gone. Anyway, it's a very smooth ascent. We have more than enough delta V to rendezvous with our mothership, so be able to refuel it all the way up. You might notice that I have to do a very inefficient ascent there. That's because the fairing was not protecting our docking port. It was gonna overheat, so I had to tilt myself backwards. A real quick rendezvous. I cut this out from the refueling mission, but I'm keeping this one. And there we go, we are docked, and I'll be using the orbital insertion stages fuel to fill up the mothership. It's unfortunately staying in orbit, however. I don't like doing that, but what can you do? Probably plan your missions better. Now we set up our maneuver node, and now that's left is to execute it and have our transfer to a Mun encounter. However, we are not done yet. We have one more launch to do before we can complete this mother mission. We need to have more mapping capabilities. We need to know where all the biomes are. So making not one, not two, but 3 mapping satellites and sending them over. This is an upgrade of the... well, not an upgrade, an side grade of the 73 probe that we sent up last episode. But this one will be mapping biomes, and I spent a long long time trying to find something to fit on the other side that would make sense. Because if I just leave the antenna there, the center of mass is killed, so the probe will be tumbling when I try to fire its engine. I ended up going with 2 antennas. It's fine. What can you do? I end up going with a much bigger first stage to make sure that this reaches orbit, because the payload is a bit heftier than the Selenium 3 probe. We're putting so many more probes in orbit. For some reason, SAS was not active on launch, so we end up going slightly north there, slightly south, I mean. And again, we have the heating bug on the fairing. It's quite irritating, I will admit, but the fairing does help with, your parts not overheating as much. But it doesn't help too much, if you can understand that. Synchronizing our orbit, dropping the first stage into the atmosphere, and now taking this gargantuan amount of delta V to the Mun. This is more than enough to do all the maneuvering on these probes. I think they didn't even need to have fuel tanks. I just put them there to make sure that they would be able to complete their missions. Now we're doing our Munner injection burn. And funnily enough, this probe will arrive before our astronauts do. Quite interesting, really, how a slight difference in where you enter the Mun's sphere of influence affects how quickly you get there. The probes need to be in a polar orbit to actually scan the biomes. So that's what we set up. Just setting up alarm clocks so I don't miss the maneuver points. As it turns out, I didn't need to worry about that. The probe will arrive a few hours earlier than I need to do anything on the mothership. And there we go. We have a 750 meter orbit. 750 kilometer orbit. The first probe is deployed and it starts scanning the Mun. Now we have 3 probes, and I like to put them evenly spaced out, and the orbital period they will have is 1 day and 20 minutes. Each day is 6 hours. So if I just raise my orbit to a 1 day and 2 hours and 26 minutes, the next one will be 120 degrees, well, offset from the previous one. Now we must do our braking maneuver with the mothership. I put the mothership on a 45-degree orbit. The reason for that is that there's quite a few biomes we must visit, so I thought, well, it's better to have a orbit that passes over all of the biomes instead of having an equatorial orbit that might be easier to rendezvous with sometimes. Now that we have achieved orbit, we have our parking orbit of our mothership, we must decide where to land and who's gonna land. It's gonna be Jebediah. We all know it's gonna be Jebediah. Kerbal Space Program 2 has its problems, but still a very pretty game. The first game was also pretty, but not as pretty as the second one. At least not without mods, at least. Here I'm lowering our apops so that we have a circular orbit. And now, since it will take a bit of time for our mothership to be hovering over the thing, we have time to finish setting up the orbits of our satellites. Here, what we do is quite simple. I already set up the orbit. I just, every time I get to the periaps, I stage, then I dropped my apoaps down to 750 kilometers, and then do the same with the next one, and it's done. Now our biome mapping satellites are done, and soon we'll know where all the biomes are. The only one I don't actually know where it is the Raid Crater biome. As you might notice, English is not my first language, so I don't actually know what they might mean. Well, didn't actually know what they might mean by Raid Crater. But we do find it in this episode. We'll visit, and if you don't know where it is, well, soon you will know where it is. Here I got tired of waiting for the Manarch to be at a good orbit for us to land at it. So I decided to just spend the Delta V and get there like this. And this is a great landing. It's actually incredible how close I got. You can also tell that I'm not exactly used to this game yet, because I have the experiments to run, but I'm not running them because I just forgot to look at that side of the screen. And we are almost bang on the Manarch. I'm just spinning the craft around, just in case. I was so close. I was worried. What if it clips one of my solar panels? That would be sad. So I spin the craft around slightly, and look at this. This is one of the prettiest sights I have ever had in a Kerbal game. Either this one or the last one, the first game. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? We have completed the mission, the official mission. You can see me struggle with the camera a bit to try to get a good screenshot for the thumbnail. But enough faffing about, let's get our science. So that gets his. We get. Well, I try to get another good screenshot. I might use that one. It was this moment I remember. Oh wait, I only got the sample. I didn't do the other experiments. Anyways, here I decide to wait until the mothership is slightly above the orbit, intersects with where I'm currently at. I'm so bad at directions. Like, so many times in this video, I spend at least a few minutes making sure that where I'm pointing at is where I actually want to go. Next we have our encounter with the mothership. Now it's just time warp. It's not a close encounter, it's 4 kilometers. But that's close enough. We have more than enough Delta V to rendezvous like that. And here's the quick docking trick. You just pick both crafts, aim then at the docking port, and select points to targets on the nav ball. Now we're sending more fuel to our lander stage. And I'm just balancing out the fuel loads. I don't need to do this, but I wanted to. Now I'm looking at the Mun. I'm seeing if I can see any other biomes that I have missed. Right now we have signs from the monument and the mare. We're missing craters, highlands, Mare Eye, and the raid crater. We'll be taking build karma for this one. I should have mentioned that. The 3 astronauts are going to the moon today. Well, there will be nothing like leaving Bob on the mothership to twiddle his thumbs. One nice thing about having a probe core on the lander is that it will actually keep. It won't be bouncing around because it lost control. Now to find where the closest biome is, I did land right on the divide of a biome, and I'll be going there right now. Land on the Highlands biome. I believe this will be the crater biome. Yep, the craters. A very precarious landing, as you can see. We're using one of our solar panels as a landing leg. But hey, if it works. Now we can quickly take off and we circularize our orbit and start rendezvous with the mothership. I have a confession to make. I had a bug there and I had to reload to an earlier save, and well, I forgot to get the science of the crater, so we'll have to come back here, but we would have had to come back here anyway because I'm sure I missed something in terms of science. This rendezvous was a bit more scuffed. I could not kill our velocity. This is why you should consider taking RCS thrusters whenever you making something that will rendezvous. I didn't because I wanted to save as much mass as possible, so we would have enough fuel to make our missions. Anyways, now it's Bob's turn to land somewhere. He'll be landing on the Mare biome. I was quite surprised by this. There's only 2 Mare biomes on the Mun. I was certain there would be more. We have sort of a steep incline here, but nothing point upwards won't fix. We get our science, and we take off again. Here I had more than enough delta V to do this. I tried to land here. Maybe this was the raid crater, because there's an array of craters. Right? There are many craters inside one another. Maybe this was it. It wasn't. It was just a regular Mare biome. So we take off. We're on the roll of our mothership and refuel. Now I spent quite a bit of time looking at the map, trying to find where the last biome was. And I noticed there was a dark spot that I just crossed over with one of the satellites at some point. And I thought, maybe that's the raid crater. So I turned on the overlay, I refueled the lander, obviously. And try to find where is this thing. And I think I got it. We're just coming over the lander that stranded Valentina. And we look, and there it is, the raid crater. Unfortunately, I landed at night. I didn't have the patience to wait for daytime to make it better for the video. But that's fine, because I hate the raid crater. I hate that how many inclinations it has. I hate the color of it. I even hate the fact that it's on the dark side of the Mun, so you can't look at the carbon from it. Anyways, we take off again. And our orbit is not the best, but we have the delta V to fix it. We don't have a lot of delta V left. See, it came really close to running out of fuel, but it was more than enough still to rendezvous with our mothership. And now there's one more place to land at, and that's the Mun arch we found in the second episode while rescuing Valentina. It's on the north part of that crater, of that mare, and we had to wait a bit for the orbits to align themselves. But now it's time to land there. Unfortunately, I overshot how much thrust weight ratio I had and end up overshooting the... I take too much to turn on my engine and we overshoot the arch, which means we'll burn quite a bit of fuel getting back to it. This was not my most efficient landing, but we still got it in the end. I was incredibly sad to see that we're still in a normal biome, but once I landed, I saw that this was an actual biome. I was very happy about that. I heard that the discoverables were all biomes themselves. I knew the monument was, I wasn't sure if the arches were as well. So now to land the actual crafts there. So we get material science, EVA reports, things like that. And to take off again and rendezvous with our mothership. I'm fairly certain there is another discoverable on the Mun. I just don't know where it is. I have to look up online where that is. But that would be for another episode, when we go back to the crater as well. If you want to get better at rendezvousing two crafts, I do recommend that you do a mission like this with a lander and a mothership. You do so much of that it becomes second nature to you. That's not the closest encounter I could achieve, but it's the one I got. I think at some point I had a 20-meter closest approach, which is ridiculous. Not entirely sure why the craft started tumbling there. I am not sure why, actually. It shouldn't. I don't think I passed with the engine that close to it. But anyway, this is our final docking maneuver with this craft. Now, we have a lot of fuel left. Incredible amount even. As you can see, we have 1,000 science on this craft. We have a lot of fuel. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna transfer the fuel. I'm gonna fill up the lander. And I'm gonna leave it in orbit around the Mun. Because as I said, I was sure that there was stuff I missed. As I said, there is at least one more Easter egg on the Mun that was there in KSP 1, and I haven't found it in KSP 2 yet. Ended up being fortunate since I did actually miss a biome. I'm bringing our orbit just inside the atmosphere of carbon. And now we have 1.5 kilometers of delta V left. May as well use it then. So we do a retrograde burn to lower our velocity, because 3 kilometers a second is a lot to go into an atmosphere with. We don't actually get re-entry effects here. I'm not entirely sure why we didn't. Entirely something had the velocity for that. Unfortunately though, we're about to have another bug. And this is the one I hated the most. We only deployed one parachute. The other one was not working, it wasn't damaged. There was nothing wrong with it, it just did not open. And 17 meters per second is too much. So we'll lose everything we did on this episode. I hope you forgive me for this. But I'm not doing this mission again. And again the parachute doesn't open the next 2 attempts. But the capsule survives anyway. So I am fine with it. Now, to collect our mission rewards. God knows we deserve it. We got 1500 science out of that. So we unlock a few technologies. And now it's time to prepare for our Mammoth mission. You see, we have a Joe transfer window in 27 days. So we must have as much science as possible before then, so we can make the best mission out of it. Anyway, that's it for today. See you guys on the next episode.